here we are, Friday evening, end of the week, another week that's gone really quickly. We always try on Friday evening in the village hall to have a sort of a gathering together of all the things that have gone on during the week. Awards, Bilge Award, Queen of the Bittens Award. But unfortunately, obviously, it's difficult to do that this year. But we are going to try and bring together just a few bits and pieces that people have sent us, a few shanties that we've put together, just to try and have a feel of what a normal Friday evening would be. I hope you enjoy it. I hope it gives you some laughs, and I'll speak to you a little bit later before evening quarters.
So on Saturday, we announced the cake challenge. We've had lots of amazing entries for it. So a few highlights we'll show on the screen. We had these lovely looking chocolate cupcakes from Nathaniel, who told us that unfortunately there's only 3 of them in their house, so the 3 of them had to share all of the cupcakes before they went off. So I'm sure that was a great chore. We also got these lovely looking Easter bunny cakes from Izzy Webb Pratt. Beautifully made. I think they would do pretty well on Bake Off. Naomi sent us in this lovely looking cake where she's iced an Easter theme on it. Very apt for this week. And we also got some pictures of Elsa's birthday cake, which looks amazing, filled with chocolate eggs. I want some of that, please. But there has to be a winner for this, and to be honest, it was a clear winner for us. And the winner is Izzy Roberts-Harotinov, who made this amazing looking cake with a chocolate egg nest on the top that just looks spectacular, and I'm sure it tasted pretty amazing as well. So well done, Izzy. So we've also had the Build a Boat challenge, and we set you the challenge to see if you could do as well as John's Lego kit boat build. And we did get several people also sending in pictures of their Lego boats that are exactly the same as John's. They don't count, sorry guys. But we did get lots of different entries, so it was really cool to see what you'd created. Izzy and Chris made a lovely paper origami type boat. Looks great. Don't think it'll float, but good effort. We also have this nice yellow lugswell boat that skipper James made with his 3-year-old daughter Hope. I think Hope very much enjoyed applying many layers of yellow paint to varnish. Richard spent a happy conference call at work building his Lego kit of a catamaran boat, so I'm sure that was time well spent. And Ethan also sent us a photo of his Star Wars filmed Lego boat as well. So nice one. And finally, we had Sophie gave us an entry. It was a kind of a 2-for-1 entry. So she made a cake in the shape of a boat and claims it's an entry to both challenges. So I'm not sure about that, but it does look pretty good. So on Easter Sunday, we set you this amazing challenge to make a collage. I'm sure many of you realise that it is harder than it looks. And Joe in particular sent in a collage which was, to be honest, on the same level as mine in terms of being able to tell what it looked like. But thank you anyway. We've got lots of other great ones. We've got ones from Hannah and Bronte and Nathaniel as well. But there was a clear winner on this one. There was a clear winner, however, for this challenge. We were very impressed with what Izzy and Chris came up with. They selected all their items and created an Easter bunny, and we think it's brilliant, so well done.
So one of the traditions on Bittens Afloat is to sing some songs or shanties at dinner time. Those of you who've been coming for years will know the words of these. If you're new, then if you didn't think we were weird, you're going to think we're weird from now on. But anyway, I'd encourage you, the best way to embrace the weirdness is just to join in and sing along with it and forget about the fact that you look like a Muppet. So join in with your family. You should have the words on your email and hopefully they're up on the screen as well. So here's a short one to start us off with, called The Bilge Boys' Letter Home.
Dear Mummy, this Fleet Dyke's a wonderful place, but the organisation's a shocking disgrace. There's Andy and Nick and Aunt Margie too, who sit at South Walsham with nothing to do. When stuck on a leash or they bawl and they shout about things they know nothing about. And for all the good they do, they might as well be where the mountains of Mourne sweep down to the sea.
The truth is I thought it mattered. I thought that sailing mattered. But does it, Burgess? Not compared to our Bitterns matter. We'll be singing when we're zooming. We'll be singing. Can't go sailing, but we'll meet up with friends, even if it has to be on Zoom. Can't go sailing, but we'll meet up with friends, even if it has to be on Zoom. Can't go sailing, but we'll meet up with friends, even if it has to be on Zoom. Can't go sailing, but we'll meet up with friends, even if it has to be on Zoom. Having the best night's sleep. Not sleeping next to Dave. We have an Insta meet, we have a Zoomy meet, we have a YouTube meet, we have an email meet. We sing the songs that remind us of the dry times, we sing the songs that remind us of the wetter times. Oh, call me there, Mike's muted, doesn't know. Can't go sailing, but we'll meet up with friends, even if it has to be on Zoom. Can't go sailing. I'll meet up with friends, even if it has to be on Zoom. Can't go sailing, but we'll meet up with friends, even if it has to be on Zoom. Can't go sailing, but we'll meet up with friends, even if it has to be on Zoom. Can't believe that I still have the blunder, Burgie. We have an Insta meet, we have a Zoomy meet, we have a YouTube meet, we have an email meet. We sing the songs that remind us of the dry times, we sing the songs that remind us of the better times. Keep thinking of Will's Brussels sprouts. Can't go sailing, but we'll meet up with friends, even if it has to be on Zoom. Can't go sailing, but we'll meet up with friends, even if it has to be on Zoom. Can't go sailing, but we'll meet up with friends, even if it has to be on Zoom. Can't go sailing, but we'll meet up with friends, even if it has to be on Zoom.
Lewis, what happened?
Be kind to your wet-footed friends, for a duck may be somebody's mother. Be kind to your friends in the swamp, for the swamp is inclined to be damp. You may think that this is the end, whereas this isn't, but this is.
So, the Knots Challenge. This was a clear favourite of all the challenges. We definitely had the most entries from everyone. And everyone had a fantastic go at it, so well done. We've got some good videos in of you showing us your skills with the knots. So here we have George showing us what he could do.
Ready, set, go. Figure of 8. Reef knot. Bowling. Sheepland. 27.
And here's Toby showing us his knots. An overall winner. Time yet to be verified by video evidence, but from the knowledge that we've got, we have Izzy won with 24 seconds, which is very impressive. So well done, Izzy. A cup of
Dreams like angels, they keep at bay. Love is the light scaring darkness away. I'm so in love with you. Make love your goals. The power of love, a force from above, cleaning my soul. Flame and desire, love with tongues of fire, purge the soul, make love your goal. I'll protect you from your hoodie too. Keep the vampires from your door. When the chips are down, I'll be around with my undying, death-defying love for you. Envy will hide itself. Let yourself be beautiful. Sparkling like flowers and pearls and pretty gold. Love is like an energy. Ocean inside of me. The power of love, a force from above, clean my soul. Flame and desire.
And as on his deathbed lay to
his friends who were around him were sighing these touching last words he did say. Wrap me up in my dirty silk cover and say I won't want to lie low. Don't bury my bones on the bank, for that will wake me, I know. He started by sailing through Horning with 6 motor cruisers in tow. But how in the first place he got there, neither he nor their owners did know. Wrap me up in my dirty silk cover and say I won't want to lie low. Don't bury my bones on the bank, for that will wake me, I know. He lay on the coach roof at Bodrum, digesting a monstrous repast. But the one little thing he'd forgotten, it seems you must lower your mast. Wrap me up in my dirty silk cover and say I won't want to lie low. Don't bury my bones on the bank, for that will wake me, I know. He went for a sail in the dinghy. The plug in the bottom was not some 55 fathoms of water. She sank with all hands on the spot. Up in my dirty silk cover and say I won't want to lie low. Don't bury my bones on the bank, for that will wake me, I know. Take the bowsprit from out of my kidneys, the yardarm from out of my brain, the tiller from out of my vertebrae, and assemble the boat once again. Up in my dirty silk cover and say I won't want to lie low. Bury my bones on the lee bank, for that will wake me, I know. I know.
Home. You can write this out in your best recipe, special bonus for the best interview illustrations.
If you want to get out of the water, you need to get with the program and do it. Get out of the water, you've got to fall in first, and I did that this week. Kind of silly, really.
And the best thing is to just talk to the camera, and then John gets lots of clips of which he can get a few little bits that eventually form something worth showing people.
Our theme for the week, so if you want to walk on the water.
No, this isn't working because I can't. There's too many things open. I don't know the words of this song. You think you know the words, and then you realise.
So we have 2 weeks. 3, 2, 1, and.
Why aren't you talking?
We also have 2 week-long challenges.
The first half is to bake your own cake. If you can't bake a cake,
Write us out a recipe and illustrate it the best you can. What a letdown.
I feel like I should have a cake. Tea challenge. So we set you the challenge to send us your video of how you would make the best cup of tea, and we've got a couple of entries, so here they are. So have Chris and Izzy again showing us their skills. particularly like that tea bag getter out. I need one of those in my life. And we have Dee Dee's entry to the tea challenge, brilliantly put together, love it. By far our favourite is this video from Ethan. Skippers are going to be fighting over having him in their crew next year. He's a build he's never been before, but he can already make tea.
And then I put it back on here, and then I put this in. And then I wait 30 seconds. And then lightly stir. And then leave it for 30 seconds. Open the milk, put the milk in there, and then ta-da!
Can I have a cup of tea, please?
Grazie, Gori.
Thank you very much, Claire. Let me just pour that in there, and I'll pass that on to Ben. Are you ready, Ben? There you go.
Thank you kindly. A tea bag for you, sir. Izzy, a teapot.
Thank you. Coming to you, Leon.
Oh, can't start tea. You're getting a wet head. Oh.
Ooh.
Good catch.
Sorry.
Charlotte. Thanks, Leon.
That's all right.
Beth. Get it out your window.
Oh gosh.
Here you go, Toby.
I'm ready for it. Coming down to you, Izzy P.
Yeah.
Oh, I think it's missed.
Oh no.
Oh,
Oh well.
Alright, a bit went in.
Black tea it is.
There you go, George.
Thank you, Izzy. Here you go, Hugh.
Oh, thank you.
This week, some of the youth were supposed to be going on a sailing trip on the Norfolk Broads with a Christian organisation called Britons Afloat. You were going to be learning how to sail while spending time with young people from other churches around the UK and learning more about God. Unfortunately, because of the current situation, the trip had to be cancelled. But Britons have done a great job in making it all happen in a virtual way this week through YouTube, Instagram and meetings on Zoom.
The theme for the week was, if you want to walk on water, you've got to get out of the boat, which was linked to the story of when Peter walked on the water towards Jesus. There were Bible studies and practical challenges posted throughout the day. In the evening, we all watched Evening Quarters on YouTube and then joined together in small groups on Zoom to talk about what we had learnt. I've enjoyed getting to know young Christians and encouraging each other even though we have to stay in our own homes.
So it's been really good this week, having so much time to think about what it means to follow Jesus. And Bronte, the great thing about it having been a virtual sailing holiday is that we didn't get wet.
Well, I didn't. Liam.
This next one was written by one of our mates, Matt, about the boat Lutra. And if the technology has worked, Lutra should be just behind me. If not, it's a green tarpaulin. Anyway, I don't have a song about a green tarpaulin, so here we go.
It's on the screen.
I heard there was a secret word that can't be found anymore, but you don't really have to say it, do ya? It goes like this, we try, we tack, working watch a jib, don't let it slack, because all we will sing hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. You're sailing strong, but you need a reef. First of all, go clean your teeth. I'd rather sail low before I knew ya. Have you seen our birdie on the mast? I doubt it though, we're going too fast, because we're on the best of hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Oh, Potter, I've been here before, I've raised my tongue here more. We went right through before the wind waves came to you. What's too high, can't see the arch, towards the sea we can march, to Upton we will take hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Maybe one day next try, while we wait for our boat to dry. You don't want to get too hungry, do ya? Now all these things you've left me, we broke our sink, don't tell Tommy. It's cold and it's so broken, hallelujah, 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 hallelujah.
So here we are, evening quarters, 8 o'clock. Well, probably around 8 o'clock, I guess. But this isn't live if you haven't noticed. Just before we do evening quarters, I just thought it would be worth saying there's been a team of people this week working really hard to bring you all this content. It's a bit out of some of our comfort zones, and it's skills that some of us didn't have before this week. But we've been supported really well through it all by a couple of people who've really taken the lead. So I just wanted to give a shout out and a thank you to John Bale, who's done all the sort of video and techie stuff, and to Jack, who's led all the work with the Zoom stuff to make the evening quarters and cabin clubs possible. So I'm sure you'll give them a bit of a round of applause even though they can't hear you. Thank you guys. Our last evening. If you want to walk on water, you've got to get out of the boat. So our last evening, the boat. So I thought, where can I do my evening quarters intro in terms of boats? I thought about here, but as you can see, she's still covered up. If not Annie, how about a beautiful old 1950s wooden motor cruiser? I know, bit on the dark side, but there you go. But as you can see again, she's still a bit covered up, and whilst that looks beautiful, if you go underneath, she doesn't yet look so beautiful under there. Maybe next year. Perhaps a bit of speed. No, Nick's not quite finished this one. Beautiful, but lacking water. None of these look any good. I'm sure there's something missing from this one. Sometimes you just can't beat Tempest. Good old Tempest. So here we are. Last evening quarters. Let's see what Dave's got to say.
Peter wasn't exactly safe while he was still on the boat. I mean, it was in the middle of a storm, but it's far safer to be on a boat in a storm than not in a boat in the middle of a lake in a storm. He was safer on the boat, but he still got out. This boat is totally safe at the minute. No accidents are going to happen, nothing's going to go wrong. It's on barrels, it's being looked after, it's being maintained. It's totally safe, but it's also pretty boring. Nothing exciting is going to happen, nothing life-giving is going to happen. Peter could stay on the boat and be safe, or get out and live. This boat can stay out on the land and be safe, or it can get in the water and take someone on an adventure. If we want to experience life and excitement and adventure with God, we've got to take that step out. We've got to get out of the boat and into the place He's calling us to. There comes a point when we've got to leave the safety of the boat behind and step out into the water. It takes a step. We need to leave comfort behind, step out of the boat and live.
I know Bronte, one of our new builders, because she's in my youth club, the Totally Awesome God Group.
I keep in touch with Charlotte because we meet on lots of Wednesdays in Victoria Station for a coffee.
Beth was my mate last year, and we keep in contact on WhatsApp.
I keep in contact with Isabel Povey because she is one of my bridesmaids and one of my closest friends.
I keep in contact with Sophie because she is my sister, and I am able to go and see her by riding my bike.
I keep in contact with Toby because he is my brother, and I use various messaging apps, and we sometimes FaceTime.
I keep in contact with Callum because I was his usher, and we meet up throughout the year, and I've known him since we were in year 7.
I keep in contact with Matt because we both go on Bittensby in the summer.
Hi, I'm Charlotte and I'm one of the skippers on Bitters Afloat. You just watched a video with me and some other mates talking about how we support each other, not only on Easter week, but throughout the year. For tonight's creative worship, we'd like you to take a moment and think about all the people God has given you in your life and make a spider diagram. Here's one I made earlier. So I've thought about my friends and my family. I put people at work, but you might want to talk about your people at school or in your church. And next to those names, once you've written them out, maybe you can pick out 1 or 2. People who you want to make an extra effort to keep in contact with at the moment. Maybe you can send them a text message or a quirky video.
I was lost with a broken heart. You picked me up, now I'm set apart. From the ash I'm born again. I will live that your will be done. I won't stop till your kingdom come. 'Cause you are my freedom. We lift you higher, your love, never ending. Whoa, oh, you are alive in us, nothing can take your place. You are all we need, your love has set us free. Whoa.
Hello, welcome. It's good to be part of this final virtual evening quarters for Bittern's Afloat 2020. What a week it's been. It's been great to be part of everything that's going on. And at the beginning of the week, this guy asked us a question.
What's it look like for you to maybe take one step closer to God right now? What would that look like for you?
What a guy. Hey, nice glasses. I should get some like that. Anyway, I want to actually think about a very similar question this evening. Because really, this whole week we've been exploring this one theme of what it means to get out of the boat, what it means to walk on water with Jesus. We've thought about what it means to take that step. We've thought about what it means to actually walk and live our lives with Jesus. We've thought about that moment of decision. We've thought about all kinds of things, how solid and secure Jesus is as the rock that we can build our life on, that we can walk for the rest of our life on. And tonight, I want to think about that final part of the boat. If you want to walk on water, you've got to get out of the boat. We're not talking about physical, literal boats. This week, we've had no literal boats, unless we're Andy and Anne at the boatyard. But we haven't been talking about getting out of physical, literal boats, although, fun fact, it was on the last day of Bitterns last year that a few of our crews did maybe take this a little bit too literally and did end up out of their boat. But enough said about that, Jack. I promised I wouldn't mention it. So there we go. Anyway, we're thinking about what it means to get out of the boat and what that boat means. We're not thinking about physical boats, we're thinking about what it means to take a step maybe out of what we're comfortable and familiar with and into what Jesus is calling us to, into the next step that he wants us to take in our life. I asked at the beginning of the week what it means for us to take one step closer to God. I want to ask that again today. What does it mean to take a step towards him and maybe away from what we're comfortable with, away from our comfort zones? Comfort zones are named comfort zones for a reason. They are comfortable. They're a safe place to be. Why? Because they're familiar. We're all familiar with certain things and we feel comfortable in them. We know them, we know where we stand. Stepping out of them means that we no longer do know where we stand. We're no longer sure of how things are going to work or whether it's going to work or what that's like. For a lot of us, the first time we stepped into a boat at all was stepping out of our comfort zone. We didn't know how it worked. We didn't know how to sail the thing. We didn't know what was going to happen. What if we fall in? For all of us, there'll be loads of times in our life when we've taken a step out of something that's comfortable into something that's uncomfortable. Think back to your first day at secondary school. Went from being the big kid, comfortable, knew it all, knew how it all worked, to being the little kid, to being the one who didn't know what was going on, who wasn't sure what was going on. It was no longer comfortable. The kind of things that Jesus calls us into in our life can sometimes be a little bit like that. They won't always be as extreme as what happened with Peter being called to step out of the boat and to walk with Jesus. But sometimes it can be uncomfortable. Jesus can take us out of what we know, out of what's familiar, and into something that is new, that is unfamiliar. But I promise you this, if Jesus is calling you there, it is worth going. If Jesus is saying, come, step out of your comfort zone, follow me, and come to this new place with me, do this new thing with me, take a new step with me, go deeper with me, step out in my name and do something bold and radical, whatever it is that Jesus is asking you to do, I promise it is worth it. Because Jesus knows you, he loves you, he knows what's good for you, he knows what's best for you, and the plans he has for you are good. So this evening we're thinking about what it means, what kind of comfort zones it might be that we're stuck in a little bit, that we might want to step out of, that we might want to, or that Jesus might want to take us one step beyond. Before I think about that a little bit more though, I want to share a story. And in fact, instead of me sharing it, I'm going to ask a few people who were involved in it. This is a fresh story from this week from some of our Bittons. And I'm going to hand over to them as they tell the story of what's happened for them this week.
Hi, I'm Emily.
And I'm Ethan.
And we're here to tell you something amazing that happened yesterday.
I became a Christian. It really helped having my sister to talk with me about God.
I felt really convinced I had to speak to Ethan about God, and I felt very overwhelmed by the Holy Spirit, and I knew that I had to share my faith with him. So we decided to go on a walk. Ethan, how are you feeling at this point?
Emily talked to me a lot about Bittons, and I thought my mum and dad put her up to this.
One of the biggest things Ethan was battling was being labelled a Christian and being part of a religion. But what I was saying to Ethan is that Christianity is so much more than that. It's not about being part of a religion, it's about being in a relationship with Jesus. So, when we talked, Ethan, what was the thing that changed your mind?
So Emily told me that God died for us and that he could bring stuff back to life. And I thought if he could do that, he's powerful. And I thought that was like the main reason why Christians like worship him. But then she told me about like creating life and the fact that he's like all forgiving, and like if he could forgive me for all my sins, he could forgive everybody's sins.
Then we got onto the topic of giving your life to Jesus, and I knew at this point I was talking to a different boy than I started the walk with. He was so much more engaged, and at the beginning of our walk it was very hectic, and it felt like this big storm, and I knew that I was battling with something much more. And then there was just this real sense of peace and calm and quiet, and I knew that this was God's perfect timing for Ethan, and I knew that we weren't going to get a moment like this again. So I took the opportunity and I was like, you know what, this is it.
So Emily prayed with me to ask for God's forgiveness to come into his life and to open a door, which I then knocked on.
I knew Ethan was already having a spiritual week at Bittons.
Thank you to all my leaders at Bittons. Can't wait to see you all next year for sailing.
Isn't that amazing? We think Bittons is cancelled. We think that it's done. We think that we're not going to have Bittons this year. Then we come up with this idea for virtual Bittons and doing things differently, and we think it won't be as good, but hopefully some cool things will still happen. And then we get a story like that. One of our Bittons becoming a Christian this week, committing to Jesus this week, choosing to give his life to Jesus and walk with him. His first year of Bittons, doesn't even set foot on a boat, but still God meets with him and calls him. Isn't that so cool? His life's never going to be the same again. One of the things that I loved about what Will said last night was this. He said that there was no getting back on the boat. He said Peter could physically get back on the boat, but the Peter who got on the boat again wouldn't be the same one that stepped out of the boat. He'd been changed by this. Ethan has been changed because of the decision he made. His life will never be the same again. Why? Because now he's living it with God. Now he's living it with Jesus. Ethan, we're so excited for you. But I tell you what, he wasn't the only person that made a step in that story. His big sister Emily also made a step, because she believed that Jesus was saying to her, that the Holy Spirit was speaking to her and saying, I want you to go and talk to your brother about me and invite him to become my follower. And you know what? She took that step out of that comfort zone, because it must have been a little bit scary, unsure. What if this doesn't work? What if it goes wrong? What if my brother laughs at me? All those kinds of things. We know what it's like, a lot of us, to have brothers or sisters, and it's not always the easiest thing to step out and say something like that. But she did. And you know what? Emily won't be the same again either. Why? Because she took a step and she saw something amazing happen, and next time there's an opportunity, she'll remember this. But it's not just them involved in the story, because their mum, Mandy, had been praying that this would be the week that Ethan would become a Christian, that Ethan would step out and follow Jesus. She'd been praying for that. She'd been hoping that Bittons Afloat, her son's first year, would be the year where that happened. I imagine there must have been some disappointment when Bittern's wasn't going to happen as normal. But you know what? She prayed and God answered that prayer with a yes. She's not going to be the same again. Why? Because next time she comes to pray for something that seems big, that seems bold, she'll remember this. You know, when we take a step with God, it can take us out of our comfort zone. It's not comfortable to pray for something that you have no control over, knowing that God will either do it or he won't. It's not always comfortable, but when we step out, when we take a step of faith, when we step out of our comfort zone, when we allow ourselves to go into unfamiliar territory, big things can happen and we won't be the same again. So I want to ask you, what kind of step could you take this week? Maybe you're going to be like Ethan's mum. You're going to choose to commit to praying for something. Step out of that place where you have control and instead give God control and say, God, I'm placing this in your hands. I give you control over this. I'm going to pray for it, but I know that only you can do this. Maybe that's a scary place for you to put yourself. Maybe actually there's an opportunity to be a little bit like Emily. Yesterday in our creative worship time, Sophie encouraged us to write a note and then to share it with someone who doesn't know God yet. To share something of this week with someone who doesn't yet know God. Maybe you could be like that. Maybe that's the step that you could take. You could invite someone else to come and walk with Jesus just like you are. Maybe actually the step you need to take is the same one that Ethan has made. Maybe you need to say, yes, this is my moment. This is the time when I'm going to choose to leave the safety of my life and being in control of it myself and instead give my life to Jesus. Make that commitment. If that's something you want to do, please talk to your cabin club leaders about it later on. We would love, everyone would love to be able to have that conversation, to pray with you, to be able to help you make that step with Jesus. It's your step to make. No one can make it for you, but we'd love to be part of that if you'd like us to. Maybe there's other things. Maybe there's things that you know Jesus is saying, you've been holding on to that for a little bit long. It's time to let go and let me. There are all kinds of examples in the Bible of times when people had a choice, when they could step out of what was comfortable and familiar and instead pursue God. I could list so many of them, but instead, let's just remember the one that we've been looking at all week. Jesus said, come. Peter saw the safety of the boat. He left it behind. And what he got to do was spectacular. Where is it that God is calling you from? And what is it that God is calling you to right now in these moments? I'm going to pray and then we're going to worship together. Lord Jesus, thank you that you bring life. Thank you that where you call us is good. And I pray that for each of us, whatever the comfort zone, whatever the security that we're currently standing in, that you want to take us maybe one step beyond, so that we're relying on you, so that we're pursuing what you want for us. I pray that you'd enable all of us to do that, to leave the boat behind and step out with you into everything you're calling us to. Help us to know what that looks like for us, so it turns from being an idea into being a reality. And help us, Lord, to make those steps. Amen.
Christ the
Okay, well that's evening quarters finished for now, so do hop over onto Zoom and connect in with your cabin club leaders and the rest of your cabin club. We will see you there. Bye-bye.